You're listening to the Steven Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Steven Tauriello Show. And now, here's Steven.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. We have a whole lot of stuff to get into. A whole lot of stuff has happened over the weekend, and more particularly on Friday evening. So you know when they drop stuff on Friday evening, it's because they want to get it through without a bunch of attention. So if it's a story, a bombshell story that they're trying to get through the cracks, they'll release it on Friday evening, and then come Monday, nobody's talking about it. So we're going to get into a whole lot of stuff, but this is pretty shocking. So a new poll came out where the majority of Americans 18 to 24 years old think that the Hamas slaughter of 1,200 Israeli civilians was justified. This is crazy. So Max Abrams on Twitter, or X, said that a majority of 18 to 24-year-olds in America think the killing of 1,200 Israeli civilians was justified. The discrepancy between the 18 to 24 demographic and the 65-plus demographic is truly remarkable. While 50% of the 18 to 24 demo say the attack could be justified, only 9% of the 65-plus demographic believe this. That is a huge difference. So what has changed? Yuri Bezmenov said that it takes 20 years to start the process of demoralization. So 20 years, and why 20 years? It's because it takes 20 years to indoctrinate a generation of students into being radical leftists. And now all these students that are graduating college are going to grow up. They're going to be running Fortune 500 companies. They're going to be entering the government sector, probably the upper echelons of our government. And as if, our corporations weren't left enough, imagine having a bunch of anti-Semites running our country, running our Fortune 500 companies and these corporations like Bud Light and just go down the list. This is pretty concerning. I don't know how we allowed this to happen, but again, we are so distracted. Our Congress and our government is so distracted at trying to benefit themselves, trying to make money, trying to keep this gig that they got, this really sweet gig where they just make a ton of money, they make deep connections, they get security clearance, and they use it to sit on board seats of Boeing, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin. And it's really been a system that has benefited the government and the government bureaucracy for a long time now. And while they were too busy trying to make a bunch of money, they allowed the indoctrination of our colleges and universities. And so now this is what you get. I never understood the hatred for Jews. I don't get it, and I sure in the hell didn't realize there was this much in this country. The attacks on Israel really forced a lot of people to pull off their mask and show everybody just how anti-Semitic the population is. And listen, the Democrats have a real problem because all these anti-Semites are purely 100% Democrat voters. That is right. Radical leftist Democrat Biden voters. So the Democrat Party has a huge anti-Semite problem. And I haven't seen not one Republican come out and say, oh, well, it is justified. But I've seen 4 or 5 members of the Democrat Party come out and justify the slaughter of innocent Israeli civilians. And one of those people is RASHIDA TALIBE. So RASHIDA TALIBE did a speech the other day. This was a big story that we talked about. The media, I don't know if they did it on purpose. I think they are because it's obvious that the media is pro-Palestinian. They are pro-Hamas. They want to see the destruction of Israel. There's no doubt about it. The media was just another entity that was forced to pull off its mask when this attack happened. And now everybody knows just how anti-Semitic the media is. And because of that, they could not control the urge to try and pin the blame on that bombing of the hospital, which wasn't the hospital, it was actually the parking lot, and then put out that there was 500 people dead, and they pushed out the narrative saying that it was all Israel's fault, and it almost started World War III. I mean, I'm not even joking. We are on the tipping point of a major global conflict, and the media comes out completely irresponsible, completely uncalled for, and says, oh, well, Israel just bombed a hospital, killing 500 people. And I got an article here from ABC News. This came out on the 18th. Representative Rashida Tlaib draws fire for not apologizing for saying Israel caused the Gaza hospital blast. Rashida Tlaib of Michigan refused to apologize Wednesday for saying a day earlier that Israel is to blame for the hospital explosion that day in Gaza, despite evidence from the U.S. Defense Department that the blast was likely caused by an projectile from Palestinian Islamic Jihad. A number of officials in the U.S. and around the world blasted Israel for what they believed was an attack on a civilian facility that left hundreds dead. But claims and evidence began to suggest that the Gaza hospital blast was likely caused by a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket that fell short of its target. Tlaib and Representative Ilhan Omar, a Minnesota Democrat, have been among Israel's strongest critics, with Tlaib accusing Israel of, quote, oppressive and racist policies in 2019. In February 2019, a tweet from Omar in response to a tweet from journalist Glenn Greenwald appeared to be using a common way of referring to $100 bills, which feature Benjamin Franklin, to suggest that many members of Congress support Israel because they get campaign donations from pro-Israel groups and individuals, evoking historical stereotypes linking Jews to money and influence. She later apologized for the tweet. Why is she still in this country? I have never met such an ingrate in my life. This woman was saved by the United States from a crap hole. She came here, became a congresswoman, and now is rich and loaded and hates this country. Ilhan Omar needs to be deported back to her country. Period, point blank. How are we going to have congresspeople that hate this country like Ilhan Omar? It's incredible. Anyways, I have the audio of Rashida Tlaib that day, and mind you, while you're listening to this, Rashida Tlaib knew that the story was fake by this time. So by the time she was doing this speech, she already knew that what she was saying was a lie. And yet she did it anyways. This is dangerous, man. This stuff, these people are extremely dangerous. And mind you, this woman she is a congresswoman in our United States government. How are we allowing these people to be in our government? In fact, I think she's part of the Socialist Democrat Party or whatever the hell it is. Here, check it out.
You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. I'm like, let them cry. And they're shaking, and somebody, you know this, they keep telling them not to cry in Arabic. They can cry, I can cry, we all can cry. If we're not crying, something is wrong.
Oh my God.
And so I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all of America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing a vast majority just like this, and we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this, but all of you need to know, I swear to God, Wahiyat Allah, you are on the right side of history. You are. You're doing...
No, you're not.
Everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that? Stop it with trying to politicize this. One goal, save lives. That's it.
If that's the goal, then maybe she should reach out to Hamas and tell them to stop launching rockets into Israel, and maybe tell them to not break through the border and slaughter thousands of innocent Israeli men, women, and children. Just saying, if you are all about life and protecting lives, I think you should probably start with the people that just slaughtered 1,200 Israeli civilians. Just an idea. Also, my second suggestion is, no, you are not on the right side of history. You never are on the right side of history, ever. The Democrats have been consistently wrong on every single major issue for the last 10 years. They are never right on anything. Why? Because they run completely 100% on emotions. If you couldn't tell, we have a congressperson up there crying and sobbing her eyes out, talking about something she knows was a lie. Yeah. So I got another article here, and it's from hat tip to Patty McMurray. Why is Rashida Tlaib silent after Dem activist and prominent Detroit synagogue president was stabbed to death outside her home in Tlaib's district? So 40-year-old Samantha Wall, the president of the Isaac Agreed downtown Detroit synagogue, was stabbed to death outside of her Detroit home on Saturday afternoon. Police were called to Wall's home on Saturday morning and followed a trail of blood that led to her body. Police are saying they currently have no motive. Michigan has one of the largest Muslim populations in America and the 6th largest Palestinian population. That's actually pretty interesting. Why Michigan? That's very weird. You would think it would be, I don't know, you'd think it would be somewhere down south. Why Michigan? That's very, I never knew that. I'm from Indiana, and I've been up to Michigan plenty of times. I never noticed the amount of Palestinians or Muslims up there. I never really paid attention. So unlike these people. So Wall's Detroit home is located in anti-Semite and proud Palestinian American Representative Rashida Tlaib's district, which includes Dearborn, the city with the largest Muslim population per capita in America. Unfortunately, Representative Rashida Tlaib has done nothing to quell the rising tensions between Jews and Muslims in her district. Instead, she is spending her time in D.C. protesting against Israel with pro-Palestinian insurrectionists at the Capitol. Yeah, so there was actually an insurrection. You wouldn't know if the only media you watch is the Democrat left-wing media. You wouldn't know anything about the insurrection that took place when there was hundreds of Palestinian protesters that obstructed an official proceeding in Washington, D.C. Did they get beaten down with clubs? Was any of them shot in the neck? Do you think any of them are going to be doing months or years in prison for obstructing an official proceeding? The same thing that Jamal Bowman did, a Democrat lawmaker that purposely pulled a fire alarm to delay a vote in the Cannon building. Is anything going to happen to him? No. Why? Because there's a two-tier justice system. You will only be arrested for protesting if you are a Republican, if you are a conservative. If you are a Democrat, you vote for Biden, you vote for the right side, you're BLM, Antifa, or Rashida Tlaib, or a protester, a Palestinian protester that, obstructs an official proceeding, you will not go to jail. You won't even be targeted. You won't even be arrested. This Department of Justice is only here for Republicans and conservatives. I know that's a hard thing to accept, but that is the case based off the evidence we have seen in the last few years. So here is a tweet from Colin Rugg, and this was actually on the 10th of October. Pro-Palestinian rally underway in Dearborn, Michigan, as people rally behind Palestine after Hamas launched an attack on Israel. So 3 days after the savage, brutal attack, these people are protesting for the support of the terrorists. Only Democrats, man. This is only Democrats, 100%. There is no MAGA hat wearing people in those pro-Palestinian protesters. Why? It's because the Democrats are the anti-Semites. They have a big, big anti-Semite problem in their party. And they're all starting to pull off their masks and show everybody that they are indeed the racists. So community members gathered at the Ford Community and Performing Arts Center to protest against Israel. One person held a sign that said, "Israel is killing children like me," with red paint splattered over the sign. Why is this acceptable? Like, why do Democrats always use kids to get their message across? It just goes to show that Democrats are ran 100% on emotions, and to them, everything is justified. To them, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. So if that means you have to sacrifice your child and indoctrinate them and get them involved and turn them into a mini activist out there to push your agenda, then they'll do it. They do not care. That is the Democrats for you. So back to the article. So Rashida Tlaib has chosen to fan the flames of conflict between Israel and Palestine, both abroad and at home. In her latest attempt to manufacture hatred toward Israel, Tlaib lied about Israel bombing a hospital in Gaza. Although she has since been caught lying about the bombing, the tweet is still posted on Rashida Tlaib's Twitter account. Why? Why? I mean, she knew when she was doing the speech that it was a lie. It's clear and obvious that what she's doing. She has no interest in the truth, and which is a pretty common, it's a pretty common attribute for Democrats. But she left the tweet up there on her Twitter, so it's obvious that she don't care. It's obvious that she is trying to propagandize people. If she still has the tweet up there, I don't know what we're going to do about this, ladies and gentlemen, but we got to do something. We have a crap ton of anti-Semites in this country, a crap ton. So on Friday, students at the Dearborn Edsel Ford High School inside Rashid Tlaib's district walked out of class in support of Palestine.
To the sky! From the ground to the sky! I support Palestine! I support Palestine! From the ground to the sky! From the ground to the sky! I support Palestine!
I don't think these kids know anything about anything. This is what happens when you indoctrinate an entire generation of kids. You get this? These kids can't possibly understand the conflicts over there in the Middle East. They can't possibly understand what they're doing. So Miss Wall founded the Muslim-Jewish Forum of Detroit, an organization created to build better relations between Muslims and Jews. Michigan State Police are currently investigating the crime. Local reporter Brendan Guchenschweiger, that's a hard one, captured this footage of the crime scene on Saturday afternoon. Tlaib, who flies a Palestinian flag outside her D.C. office, has been very vocal about her support for Palestine since the attack on thousands of innocent Israelis by the Palestinian terror group Hamas on October 7th. Is she going to be held accountable for this? Is she going to be held accountable for her rhetoric? They are trying to throw Donald Trump in prison for the rest of his life because they are accusing him that his speech caused a riot and an insurrection on January 6th. But yet, this woman gets stabbed to death in Rashida Tlaib's district after Rashida Tlaib has come out and essentially stated that she supports the terror group and the savage attack on innocent Israelis. This woman gets stabbed to death, and Rashida Tlaib is just, that's okay. No censorship, no nothing. That's perfectly fine. This is just another example that these people can do whatever they want and get away with it. We most definitely have a two-tier justice system. So, Attorney General Dana Nessel, who is also Jewish, tweeted about the tragic and brutal murder of Samantha Wall, whom she refers to as Sam. Jewish Representative Elisa Slotkin, Democrat, currently running for U.S. Senate, tweeted about the death of Wall and praised her involvement in Slotkin's campaign. Although the violent murder of Samantha Wall took place in Rashida Tlaib's district, the anti-Semite lawmaker has completely ignored her death. Instead of offering her condolences for the prominent Jewish leader who lived in her district, the loudmouth pro-Hamas lawmaker retweeted a message from a BBC reporter who's been left homeless over the conflict in Gaza that began after Palestine's terror group attacked thousands of innocent Israelis. Tlaib tweeted a broken heart emoji with her retweet. So America needs lawmakers who will work to represent the interests of their constituents and not the interests of citizens of a foreign country ruled by an Iranian-backed terror group. Bravo. Bravo. I agree. And you need to throw Ilhan Omar in there. I say just Ilhan Omar, they should just deport her ass. Just get her out of here, man. How do you have a lawmaker that we brought into this country, essentially saving her life? She becomes a lawmaker in Congress, one of the most privileged positions in this country, and then turns around and hates this country. Not only hates it, but like actively protests against this country, supporting other countries. Like, nobody can sit there and tell me Ilhan Omar loves the United States of America. She does not. But somehow she's a lawmaker. This is how lost the American people have become. Our society and our culture is broken. Broken. Why? In my opinion, it's because they took religion out of schools. Separation of church and state. That's why. The Republican Party, the establishment, were so busy just trying to make money, so busy trying to keep their seats. They propped their feet up for so long that they allowed the Overton window in this country to move to the left for the last 50 years. And allowed the removal of religion in our schools, and now you are starting to see the repercussions of that. We need to get rid of separation of church and state, period. It's absolutely nonsense. I'm not saying all schools have to teach religion, but you need to pull that down so that if schools do want to teach religion in their school, why is it that schools and students should have to be indoctrinated with climate change hysteria, the LGBTQ plus IA community, and all this other garbage? The famous quote, "A man that doesn't believe in nothing believes in anything," is exactly what's happening to our schools. So now these kids grow up to be complete radical leftists that hate Jews and support the slaughter of innocent Jews. Very, very upsetting, man. Very upsetting. So I think Rashida Tlaib should be held accountable. I think she should be removed from office. Michigan, how is it possible that Indiana, probably one of the most reddest states in the country, ends up being neighbors next to Michigan, and Michigan ends up being a radical leftist blue state? How is that possible? It's insane, man. And so we're going to have to do something. The only way we are going to combat this anti-Semitism within our students, within our schools, is by introducing faith. That is it. They're going to have to get rid of separation of church and state. Because how is it possible that you can remove our founding principles, remove our founding religion from this country? How are you going to remove our religion and replace it with Palestinian religion, LGBTQ plus religion, and climate change religion? I mean, this is exactly what happens. Again, all this is to blame on the separation of church and state. There needs to be a real fight on getting rid of separation of church and state. There has to be, at some point, that to me would be a major win for conservatives. And I'm telling you right now, it would make a huge impact on this country. Huge. I mean, it would essentially be a major step back to regaining our founding principles and ideas to this country and values to this country. Putting faith back into the schools, it would be a major reversal of the indoctrination that we have in schools right now if they were to just put faith back into the schools. I know it seems little, and this is exactly why they were able to get away with it. I know it seems little and minute and kind of, a non-factor, but the separation of church and state was a major blow to this country's values and founding principles. A major, major punch in the face, man. So I think that needs to be a high priority, starting to get faith back in public schools. Because look, if you're not going to teach faith, they're just going to indoctrinate the kids. Okay? By not teaching faith, all these teachers, these schools, these radical left schools are teaching children nonsense. They're teaching them how to be anti-Semites. Is that what we want? We want to raise a future generation of a bunch of Jew-hating Nazis? I mean, come on, man. Climate change religionists? I don't think so. So, and another thing it's going to do is it's going to infect our country's population with radical terrorism. I'm telling you it is. I mean, think about these students that have been radicalized and hating Jews. I mean, you're essentially bringing the hatred over there in the Middle East, and you're bringing it into this country. You're allowing it to fester and manifest into Jew hatred in this country, and you're going to start seeing terrorist attacks. You're going to start seeing some of the stuff. Essentially, it's going to turn this country into a third world country, is what's going to happen. And we may not even have to wait that long, because it may already be here. So I got an article here from the Epoch Times. A record number of illegal immigrants on the FBI terror watch list have been apprehended along the southern border. So the Biden administration's border policies have again come under criticism after border officials announced on Saturday a record number of illegal immigrants on the FBI's terror watch list were apprehended in the past 12 months. According to Customs and Border Protection statistics, 18 people on the federal terrorist watch list were encountered between ports of entry at the southern border in September. bringing to a total of 169 such encounters in fiscal year 2023, ending on September 30th. The 169 figure is the highest annual number since Border Patrol was founded in 1924. That is crazy. An all-time record. An all-time record. These are supposed to be the successful policies of the Biden administration. This is supposed to be the progress people are talking about. Folks, if this is progress, then we need a major intervention with our fellow Americans about what progress is supposed to look like. This can't be progress, or this country's doomed. The latest figure also exceeds the previous record of 98 in fiscal year 2022 and 15 in fiscal year 2021. With illegal immigrants on the FBI terror watch list apprehended between ports at the northern border included, the total for fiscal year 2023 was 172. On October 21st, some Republicans pointed to the latest CBP statistics and warned about the vulnerability of the United States to a terrorist attack. Quote, potential terrorists are attempting to cross our southern border, Senator Marsha Blackburn wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. The attack on Israel should serve as a warning as to why we must secure the border. But it won't. It will not. These people, the Biden administration was handed a stellar, a super immigration policy. The Biden administration was handed the best border policy, the best southern border this country has seen in 50 years, and they purposely destroyed it. They did the exact opposite. Why would you do that? It is insane. They were handed the best border this country has seen in 50 years, and on day one, they completely reversed everything and gave us the worst border in U.S. history. How is that not impeachable? How? How is it that a president can ignore the laws of our land and purposely hurt the American people? And not only that, but they say it's inhumane. Ladies and gentlemen, what the Biden administration is doing is inhumane. You have record amounts of rapes, record amounts of child trafficking, record amounts of death. That's inhumane. These people have everything backwards. Everything, it's like we're living in opposite world. The heroes are villains and the villains are heroes. So these people think that this is a humane border. And what Donald Trump was doing was an inhumane border. Even though we have record deaths, record rapes, record trafficking during the Biden administration. But this is a humane border policy. It is sick. It is sick. And I have Tom Holman, which was the border chief during the Trump administration, coming out and talking about this exact same thing. Here, check this out.
That's a bunch of bullshit. Because let me tell you the truth. President Trump's policies were not inhumane. They saved lives. President Biden wants to say the policies are more humane. Let me set the record straight. Over 1,700 migrants have died on U.S. soil since Joe Biden's been president. 1,700 migrants have died on U.S. soil. A record. Over 100,000 Americans have died from fentanyl overdoses. A record. ICE has more sex trafficking investigations of women and children this year than the last 6 years combined. A record number of women and children being sex trafficked. And the thing that bothers me the most, on top of all those terrible things, a record number of known suspected terrorists have been arrested trying to enter this country. Don't tell me his policy is humane. They're killing people at record numbers. They're killing migrants at record numbers. They're killing Americans at record numbers. Bottom line. President Trump was one badass president.
He absolutely was. Amen, Tom Holman, man. Amen. This guy, look, the guy overseen the best southern border this country has seen in 5 decades. Why would the Biden administration undo all of that and purposely make this country unsafe? How is that not impeachable? It is impeachable. And that's exactly what Joe Biden should be impeached for. Not this freaking disaster, not his corruption. He should be impeached for his corruption too, don't get me wrong. But they're never going to vote for that. You would have a better chance impeaching Joe Biden if you impeached him on what he has done to our southern border. Period. You may actually have Democrats get on board for that impeachment, because there is no doubt that he needs to be impeached for that. No doubt. And not only that, you want to know what really pisses me off? This is what pisses me off. is conservatives, Trump supporters, Republicans, we were right about the southern border this entire time. And if they just wouldn't have lost their mind about Donald Trump and letting their Trump derangement syndrome get the best of them, we wouldn't even be in this situation. There wouldn't be thousands of people dying from fentanyl every single month. There wouldn't be known suspected terrorists getting into this country. There wouldn't be 7 million illegal immigrants into this country, absolutely destroying our country, our economy, our culture, everything. This is why you cannot have 7.5 million people enter your country illegally, period. You know, then they sit there and say, oh, well, they're not illegal. They are not legit asylum seekers. They are not. Their claims for asylum are illegal, and they will stay here indefinitely. Unless Donald Trump gets in the office, and he's already said it's going to be the largest deportation campaign this country's ever seen. And it has to be. They have to go, folks. They have to go. We can't do this. What they did to this country, what the Biden administration did to this country is unsustainable. You cannot have 7.5 million illegal immigrants in here. Not only that, we allowed 1 million people into this country every single year. That's what we need to go back to. I get the immigration policies and the laws are broken. I get that. But for now, you at least need to plug the hole to the southern border before you start bailing out the water. And that's exactly what needs to happen. But again, what pisses me off the most is we were right. And now the Biden administration has done a complete 180 on the southern border. And I know he's just doing it for optics. I know he's just doing it to please the base, because everything this administration does is for optics. Everything. Going over to Israel, going over to Ukraine, it's all for optics. The very first words out of Joe Biden's mouth in Israel was, "I'm the first president to ever come into Israel during war." It's all it's for, folks. Everything this administration does is just fake. It is the machine. We allowed the machine to have control of our government again. We had peace and prosperity for 4 years, and the only reason why is we had a president for the first time since George Washington that was never into politics. He was not part of the corrupt swamp, and this is exactly why the swamp wants to eradicate him. So this is absolutely impeachable, and Democrats will say, yeah, but they were apprehended. So that means that the southern border is actually working. That means that they're doing their jobs. No. Ladies and gentlemen, there is 1.5 million gotaways. And so even if a small fraction of that 1.5 million are terrorists, that's a big problem. That is like somebody handing you a bowl of Frosted Flakes, and then right before you eat it, they tell you, oh, well, I poisoned one piece of cereal in there, so enjoy. Are you going to eat that bowl of cereal? No. Why? Because you run the risk of eating that one poisoned piece of cereal. If they are trying to evade Border Patrol, there's a reason why. It's because they don't want to get caught. The reason why they don't want to get caught is because they know they're not going to be able to claim asylum. They're going to get thrown back. So these are the worst of the worst that are the gotaways. And I guarantee you the effects of a Biden administration are going to linger on in this country for generations. Generations. This administration has done generational damage to this country. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, if there's a terrorist attack, I can almost guarantee you will be a 90% chance it's because those people, the terrorists, came across our southern border during the Biden administration. What this administration has done to this country is abhorrent. It is disgusting. And Joe Biden will go down as the worst president in U.S. history, period. But I'm going to leave that to the history books. The problem is what kind of damage is going to be done. We need to be in 100% defensive mode now, because we don't know the effects of a Biden administration yet. We don't know exactly how much damage this administration has caused. And I think it's disgusting that this man is even running for president again. And I think it's even more bizarre and more disgusting that you'll have millions of people voting for it. These people are so blinded by their hatred for Donald Trump that they hate Donald Trump more than they love their country. We got a big problem. Big problem. So over 18,000 known gotaways in the first 16 days of fiscal year 2024. There are individuals whose identities and purposes we do not know, Mr. Owens wrote. This is why you need every Border Patrol agent to be in the field and on patrol. And I'm sorry, but the whole House Speaker thing, I don't care. I don't know why anybody's in a rush to get a speaker. Because I'll tell you one thing right now. Every day that Congress isn't in session is another day the American people get to keep more of their money. The very first thing that these people want to do is send hundreds and hundreds of billions of our dollars into foreign wars and conflicts, into foreign countries. So look, I am in no rush to get a speaker. I don't even know why Democrats care. You know, I feel like they're focusing on a situation in the Republican Party because they don't want people to pay attention to just how chaotic their party is. The Democrat Party are the merchants of chaos. They create the chaos. Look around. All the chaos you see between gas prices, the southern border, the economy, the foreign conflicts, all of it is created by the Democrats. These people are the merchants of chaos. But the old rules for radical trick, accuse your opponents of doing what you yourself are guilty of. So I want Rashida Tlaib to be held accountable. Someone needs to censure her, or just get her out of Congress. And in Michigan, to my listeners in Michigan, come on, man, get rid of this woman. There's certainly somebody better. This is what I've noticed over the years from all the research and from being in politics and looking into this stuff for so long, being into news and culture and politics and so on, is the problem with getting regular Americans into office is that it's not like normal elections anymore. Our elections are ran 100% off of funding. And so it's not like the founders intended. It's not like American that feels like they have something to offer can just, stand up on a soapbox and plead their case and go and get voted and get elected. No, it's all part of the machine. You got to have connections. You got to have money. You got to have connections to money. You got to have donors. You got to have, it's an entire process that the founders did not want. It is not democracy. It is not. It is one gigantic system. It is a giant club, and you're not invited to the club. You have to pay your way into the club. And so there will be no regular Americans being elected. It is far and few in between. I'll just say that. They do come in once in a while, but they don't last very long. It only takes a few years and they're corrupted all over again. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today. I'm working on another show right after this. I want to get into a story about January 6th, a recent interview that a whistleblower that was a former Capitol Police lieutenant did an interview with Stephen Gardner, and man, does it have some bombshell information in there. So we're going to talk about that on the next episode. I have a lot of information. I was reading into this until about 1 a.m. last night. So there's a lot of stuff to get into, bombshell information. And what if I told you that January 6th could have been prevented? And there was one person that was the cause of all of it. And it's not Nancy Pelosi, and it's not Donald Trump. I have that person in the next episode, and we're going to talk about her. It's pretty wild. It's a name you haven't heard yet, but this whistleblower, his name's Tariq Johnson, blew the whistle over a year ago, blew the whistle on this person, and this person is somewhere in California at Berkeley College, living out the rest of her dreams after being the number one cause for January 6th. Yes, pretty shocking stuff. So we're going to be getting into that. I got some audio from the interview we're going to get into, and I'm going to be putting that out right after this. So make sure you tune into that. Please share this episode with your friends and family. Stay up to date. I think in the next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about the wars in the Middle East. As of right now, there's not too much coming out, but rest assured that's not going to be for long. We are certainly walking into World War III. I think these are the beginning days. So we are going to touch down on what's happening in the Middle East and these conflicts. I'm going to try and do it on every episode, give you a little update about what's happening. So we're going to be talking about that on the next episode. So please, if you could, share the show with your friends and family. Also, follow me on Rumble. That would really help. I would appreciate that. It helps the show out a lot. Follow me on YouTube. That helps out a lot. Follow me on Twitter. Any social media platform, I put the show out on that platform. Not so much Instagram, but Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, because Twitter has a video platform now, which is awesome. Yes, so follow me on any of those platforms. I'd really appreciate it so that we can get the word out there. We don't have long before the next election. I want to make sure that people are informed because informed people make the best decisions. So also, if you could, leave a review on the podcast, just whatever podcast platform you're listening to, go ahead and leave a 5-star review and write a review if you want. Let me know how the show's going. Let me know what you think. I always appreciate constructive criticism, and I will most certainly make adjustments if need be. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I hope you guys had a great weekend. We get a fresh start at a new week. And as always, I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great week. God bless you. God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.